a little while ago, around the time that Drag Path was blowing up on TikTok and going viral, I think even on Instagram. Remember, the Democratic Party of the United States of America used it in one of their, campaign promo videos, whatever those things are. And obviously it was a big point of discussion and kind of funny that that song went so viral when it wasn't even officially released by the band. But then a question started popping up on Reddit, kind of fueled by, I think, another TikTok, which has now been taken down, or at least I can't find it anymore using any of the links which were posted. But a discussion arose on Reddit asking, was this song actually written by 21 Pilots? Or was it written by another band, and did they cover it? And that's part of the reason why they can't officially release it. And certainly that would be a big point of concern in my mind if they covered it, and especially if they didn't fully acknowledge that they covered it, but also if they did cover it and it plays such an important role in the lore. It would feel a little weird to have a song like that be not an original song by the band. Something like Robot Voices, I'm perfectly fine that they covered or sampled or whatever the technical term is for what they did there. I think it turned out great. I think it's a great song. It's really cool. Tribute to that song by blanket approval, and sort of shines a light on a much smaller band that is doing some good work. So I have no issues with that, but also Robot Voices is not a song which is integral to the lore and story. So it's a very valid question to ask. Is this song original? Is this actually by 21 Pilots? Because there seemed to be some evidence that it wasn't. Now you may be asking, why am I making this video? Because this is a conversation that was being had on Reddit about 3 months ago, and it seems like it was discussed and the truth was uncovered and everyone is aware of what is actually going on here. But I have still, a bit more recently than that, seen some people confused. Now, not as recently as this month, because I'm a bit late to making this video, but even past that discussion on Reddit, it seems like some people are still confused about what was going on there. And even if you weren't, even if you had no idea that this happened, I still think it's kind of an interesting thing that happened, and it's worth conversation, it's worth discussing, because it kind of reveals something which happened and was pretty clean cut, but in the future, and maybe with other bands, it won't always be as clean cut, and it could raise some real concerns down the road. So this here is the post on Reddit. I think this is the original one that came up. There was a second one a little while later, and this is the link to that TikTok video that seemed to be claiming it was fake, or not fake, that it was copied, that Drag Path was copied by 21 Pilots from this other band. Again, this link from my end seems to be broken. I'm not able to open it. But this is the original post, and this user found this song on Spotify, which is still up on Spotify, by the way, on this album called Double Sided by this band called Break It Up. And as you can see, it's one of the tracks. Now, the reason why a lot of people were, or not a lot, but why some people were thinking maybe this was actually copied, because if you go down here and look at the release date, it says 2022, which is well before even Clancy came out. And the lyrics in this song, interestingly, line up with the lyrics in the Digital Remains booklet, the Clancy Digital Remains booklet, which contained that lyric page for Drag Path, but don't line up with the final lyrics of Drag Path on Breach. So that's something we'll come back to. But obviously it says 2022, that's well before Clancy was released, or 21 Pilots announced a song called Drag Path, or teased it at all. So did they steal it from this, right? Obviously the title Drag Path is not unique. It wouldn't be interesting if those lyrics didn't also line up. But another thing that's interesting here is the copyright's from 2024. Now, that's not to say you can't have copyright that's newer than when you publish a song, but it's also very unusual for a copyright on an album release to be, like on Spotify at least, to be 2 years later than the release date. So that's one thing right off the bat that kind of raised some suspicion. And I think as people were looking into it a bit more, they realized, as many people kind of could speculate already, the release date that they list here on Spotify, right here, is fake. And when you go to release an album on Spotify through those distributors like DistroKid or whatever, you can choose the release date for the album and have it be long in the past, right? This is why you can find Beatles albums on Spotify that have the correct release date from when they actually came out, even though Spotify wasn't around when the Beatles were releasing music. They obviously didn't put it on Spotify the year they released it. It's a perfectly valid feature to have, to be able to date your album from well before you're actually distributing it on Spotify. But again, the copyright is from 2024, which is interesting. So then again, this TikTok started going around. I wish I could bring it up and show it to you, but I can't. I'm not going to try to pretend I remember exactly what it said, but it was basically, as you can see here, it was claiming that 21 Pilots copied it and using this as evidence. And so some people went through and kind of did what I did and looked at it and were like, well, the dates don't really seem to make sense for that to be true. The release date seems kind of fake. And the copyright date puts it within the realm of being released and created, and we'll get to that, after the digital remains booklet was put out and the lyrics that we find in that were released. But the other thing about this that should strike you just looking at it, and then also if you listen to it, which I'm not going to play the song, and I don't know if you should go play the song. I don't know if you should give them many more streams than they already have, but it's pretty clearly AI generated. It seems like someone just took those lyrics from the booklet, saw that people were talking about it, and thought, okay, I'm going to capitalize on that, plugged into AI, said create a song based off of these lyrics, and then published it on this album called Double-Sided, which, again, I haven't really listened to the other songs. I assume they're all AI slop. The album art looks like it's AI slop, right? So the whole thing is just clearly just this AI band. The short answer is no, 21 Pilots did not copy Dragpath from anyone. This band was just pretending that they had come up with it before Clancy was released. It seems pretty clear they hadn't. And again, it's AI generated. It's the exact lyrics that are in the digital remains booklet. There's no reason to believe that those claims are in any way valid. Like, no reason at all. It's not that you can speculate that, it's probably not. Wiser minds than myself have been able to determine and decode that there's no way this was actually created in 2022, and it's very clearly AI. Okay, great. So that clears that up. Any kind of argument that 21 Pilots were copying Dragpath or stole it from someone else are completely unfounded, as we all kind of assumed. Great. But then why is it worth discussion? I think it's this follow-up post here that made me think, okay, great, this wasn't a problem this time, but maybe down the road it will be. Because Dragpath was going viral on TikTok, and for a lot of people, it was a re-exposure to the band 21 Pilots. And then this TikTok comes out, and it's going into people's feeds, claiming that 21 Pilots stole that song from someone else. And apparently have the receipts, right? They can lay out, oh, here's the other song. And some people were confused. It wasn't entirely clear to everyone right off the bat that this was a fake band just doing AI music and all that kind of stuff, falsely claiming to have written the song before 21 Pilots did. And in this case, it was pretty clear cut that they didn't. But down the road, if AI gets better, if they're able to more cleverly disguise the release date or something like that, it could be a real concern where people claim to have written songs, like using AI, claim to have written songs before the artist that actually wrote them, or claim that they stole it, or whatever it may be. So in my mind, that is a bit of a cause for concern. I don't know if it's going to affect 21 Pilots all that much, and maybe I'm more concerned than I need to be, and I think some of you probably have a better grasp of the whole AI thing than I do, and music releasing and verification and stuff like that. I'm sure. In fact, I know for a fact in the past other people have claimed songs were stolen from them, and then it's easy to see that that's not the case. But I could see it being more of an issue with music moving forward down the road, especially when people are so quick to spread misinformation on social media. Obviously, this is so obviously fake, it didn't go to a lawsuit or anything like that. The AI creator or whatever, didn't try to pretend that they had any claim to the copyright on Dragpath or anything like that. But if it had been a little less clean cut, if this misinformation-filled TikTok had gone a bit more viral, it could have done something to hurt the reputation of the band. With people not bothering to look into it, or it being, again, a little less obvious that this is just completely AI generated. But that being said, I just want to kind of provide this update, provide some clarification on what people are talking about when they say that 21 Pilots copied Dragpath, or there were claims that 21 Pilots copied Dragpath. This is what was going on. I think at the end of the day, it's kind of funny and frankly a little silly and ridiculous that an AI band was pretending to have created a 21 Pilots song or written the lyrics before they did. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments what your takeaway is from this. Is there any cause for concern down the road that this may impact other artists, especially small artists as they're starting out? Or do you think it will always be pretty easy to verify who is a real creator and who is not? That being said, thank you so much for watching this quick video. As always, don't forget to subscribe for more music commentary and reviews. I'll see you in the next one.